There's been a request from your classmates to see an example of user signing out the user, signing in, and seeing the navbar respond appropriately. So who thinks they have a solution they got kind of working? We'll go over that today, but who got a solution? Gallery is what I'm talking about. Okay. Daniel is the only one brave enough. What did you figure out for gallery?
Um, I'll try my best. I don't know if this is the exact way to do it, but hang on a second. Um, so um, I don't think it's running. Okay. So at the very top of my app component, I created a state for user, set user, and I didn't make it dynamic. I just started it off with the welcome Daniel Smith.
Yeah, you made it a string too.
Mhm.
Why'd you make it a string? Any thoughts there?
I mean, I made it a string because eventually I'm going to set it to an empty string on my log out. I
Or? Okay.
couldn't, I mean, I imagine that if it was going to be like an actual user with an ID and password and all that, that's probably going to want to be um, an object.
Correct. Yeah.
But because I'm not doing any additional like
Sure.
what's it called? I'm not doing any additional functionality. I'm content with it just being a string for now.
Okay.
And then into my nav bar, I'm passing that down like user and set user.
Yeah, we couldn't use context to pass that down, unfortunately. Do you know why?
Um, because I imagine that context is specifically for the outlet only.
Yeah, exactly. It's for the
Um,
children.
yeah. The nav bar is its own component, so I just use the original way of passing down the props.
Yep.
So in my nav bar, I have a few conditions. Well, here I'm deconstructing the
Destructuring.
props,
Yep.
destruction. And here I have a couple conditions. This link is always going to stay the same because you want a home. So here's my home. Um, and here I have a conditional rendering. So it's either going to show login or username
So
right
either
here. So
login or username.
mhm.
So if there is a user, it will show that
Correct.
welcome
So
message.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm checking my user, and if there is a user, in which in this case at the beginning there is going to be a welcome Daniel Smith.
Yeah.
I'm going to show the user information here.
Yep.
Otherwise, if it's not, if there's nothing in there or an empty string, I'm going to show my login link right here.
Yep.
And a similar thing to the a similar thing with my logout and register. Here I have an on-click function on the logout. So here I'm just setting the user back to an empty string.
Mm-hmm.
So let me kind of show what that looks like. Login. So yeah, if I click this, it'll go back to my set user and set it to an empty string, which in this case, this is no longer welcome Daniel Smith. So it would switch it back to my login.
Okay.
Otherwise, if there is no user, I will show my register so I could submit a new user.
Can you go? Yeah. Go to click on login again.
Right now, it
So
doesn't show anything.
it does. So click on logout.
Mhm.
So what? Click on login. So what happens when he clicks on login? There's more than just. What are all the things that are happening? Does anyone
Are
have a?
you asking me or sorry?
I guess the class. What's happening to his state when he clicks login? Show us index dot or app.jsx.
Sure.
So what's happening to the state when he clicks login? Or sorry, show us your login.jsx. So there we go. Line 10 and 11 are both firing. I mean, the whole handler is firing. So we're setting the user state. And then what does that navigate to slash?
Originally, without it, I had an. It would take me to an error, like it couldn't find the path after submitting the handle login.
Okay.
It would show up like this, and I obviously have no path
You have
to
no
like
route to handle
Yeah,
that.
no route to question mark. Um, and so after looking online, like this useNavigate, after firing it, will take me back to this route, which is my homepage, and
And
that
what's the
fixed
fancy term for this?
route. I don't know.
Programmatic navigation. Yeah. So instead of the user clicking something, we're now programmatically navigating the user based
Mhm.
on an action.
So yeah,
Line 11.
I had to import useNavigate, do a const navigate useNavigate, kind of like it kind of looks a little bit like when we use Prisma or whatever, like before when we made a const for it. And then yeah, when I on submit, I put a handle login. I set my user back to welcome Daniel Smith, and I navigate to the homepage.
Yep. Any
So yeah.
questions on that? We're going to do this again today, but any questions on gallery?
Oh,
Um,
and it's the same thing for register, by the way. I just kind of had to play around with the words,
Yep.
but it's
Yeah.
exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
does it start out on like showing the welcome message and
Yeah,
the
because my user state is originally welcome Daniel Smith. I could switch this to an empty array and start off. I'm sorry, an empty string and start off with just login. But on his example, it started off with somebody logged in, so that's what I did.
Yeah.
okay.
Other questions with this code up gallery?
I also use the nav link to use the active status. Or I was messing around with that. Or
Okay.
like playing
For
around.
styling.
Yeah, like it was kind of cool. So like whatever path you're on, you can like make it a different color, I guess.
Okay.
For
You
like
want to show us that kind of quick though, so we can jump into lecture?
yeah, okay. Um. So you go right here.
Yeah. So what he's talking about is the coloring of the route you're on. So right now, home is styled different than the other routes, right? Which
And
looks
then when
really
I go
nice.
here, yeah, it's still the home. But when I click here, I'll be
Yep.
register or login.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, you could just. I did a state where I kind of like set the made it a control component with state. That's why I can like pass in the value.
How
And then
did
I
you
have
get
fallback.
the link to be highlighted though when it's on that route? Show us
Right.
show us
Yeah.
that code.
Oh yeah, for sure. The code for that, I just use like the nav link component, and then from what I was reading online, it kind of already has the active class built in. So whatever route it's on,
It will know.
um,
So show us your
if
CSS.
you if you look at the specific here, the class name of active is already appended to the class, right?
Yeah.
And then the other ones are just where are they? Oh, wait, where are the other? Oh, sorry.
They don't have
Where's the other one?
active.
Yeah, they don't have active. Oh, sorry. I have to. There you go. Yeah, they don't have active. They're just nav links, and this one is active. And then so you can apply CSS. I was getting tripped up on this, but you have to do it in a specific order, I guess. So like, because I wanted all the visited to be black, but then you have to put the active again on blue, so to override.
Okay.
The black.
But the keyword there is active. That's what's being added automatically.
I don't know, like we don't really have much time, but I did use some other hook or something like that. I researched, and then there was you can pass in a loader function for the fetch, and it basically fetches the data, or basically, and whatever the return value is just in the loader, and this is already done before it hits the route. Like so, when I go to gallery view, also I gave it an ID.
Okay.
It's weird. You give it an ID of whatever it is, like root, and so when I go here, I use the use route loader data, and then you pass in the ID, and this is the return value of that fetch function, I changed it up so I don't have state, or like I'm not using the use state,
Okay.
because I think this is already like a state kind of, custom hook. But whatever, I just return the value of this, and then since I'm using it inside of here, it's persisting inside of the use route loader data. I can just save it in a variable, and since this is already preloaded, I don't have to worry about doing is use effect on the first initial render on mount going to be undefined, like an empty array. It's already there, and so I don't have to do any of that.
Well, it's probably,
And then I can
you're
also
probably setting it as a default value, right? With paintings is still an empty array by default, or no? Can I see your function
Maybe
one more time?
Yeah. Right here. So I'm just calling the fetch function,
Return
passing in that, and
records with
then
images.
I'm just returning the value of records with images,
Okay.
and I'm passing that into.
I see.
Sorry, I'm passing that into here. It's just here,
Yeah.
and the value is, I guess, it calls it, and then it returns the value. The return value is then, basically stored in here, use loader data, and then I can just save it in there.
Yeah.
Or I don't know exactly how it works, but it's something like that.
Yeah.
And then this is a regular variable, but it's persistent, and then I don't.
So even if you're on a specific painting ID route and you click refresh, there's no error.
Yeah. It's cool. It's crazy. Like, yeah, I can refresh too.
I don't see the connection there because it's still going to take time to get the server. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how it's avoiding that error, but that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, because you can pass in the same prefetch data here too. Like all the children have access to that. So I don't know. It was a little bit less code, and then I didn't have to do that. So, and I just found out this morning.
Cool.
But, yeah.
All right. Thanks, Ronald.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's review what we did yesterday and then continue with authentication. So the whole idea yesterday, we're building Resume Meet, where you guys are going to be able to log in and submit resume content, project descriptions, and vote on which ones you like. So we want authentication in this app. So what's the process of how we get authentication? The client has to send a request to the server. So we worked on building this register form over here. So we have Daniel. And when I clicked register, what were all the things that happened, right? We're not seeing anything, but maybe if I open my console. We're in the situation where it's probably cold storage again. But anyway, what are some of the things that happened when I clicked register? Daniel?
We are making that API request and sending the username and password.
Yeah, so right here, we're sending that request. So we're doing this part, username and password. And then what do we hopefully...
We're getting hopefully a response of success true with a token.
Yeah, and then what are we doing? What are these two lines doing for us?
Saving it. Setting it in our state and saving it to the local storage in the browser.
Yeah. So we talked about how the three things to be considered logged in: token in state, token in local storage, user info stored in state. How can we verify all of those things? Let's verify that all that work we did yesterday is working correctly. Hara, how can I verify all three of these things?
I forgot where you went, but
What can I console.log to verify that all
The
that
user?
is working? User is one thing, yeah. I mean,
or
users
the
really.
password. Yeah.
And what else?
users. I was gonna say, or I think there's a password, right?
Well, there'll be a password.
That you'll.
Actually, there won't be a password in user. No.
Okay, so not sure what else.
So user will verify that we stored. Well, we can do better than just user. What else can we console.log to verify the three things?
Is it the header where the information is? I don't know if you can console log.
The header is what we send eventually when we get the token to prove to the server who we are. But right now we're just, when I click register, I want to prove that these three things actually occurred. What do you think, Renata? How can I prove these three things occurred?
I'm not sure.
Okay, open to the class. What can we console.log to prove that token is stored in state?
Token.
Yeah, token. So this will prove these first, well, this will prove 1 and 3. So let's see that. So I'll refresh. I'll do Renata 2 in case we did you yesterday. And I'll click register. And I see both of these things look correct to me. The user and the token. Where did I go? Did I delete my oh no, right here. Okay, but how do I prove this second one? Token is stored in local storage. Do you remember, Zach? How did we look at local storage?
Is it when you right click on the web page and there's like a new new section?
Yeah. You remember which one? Well, it's not too important. Application.
The application.
Yeah. So does this look good to you or not?
Yeah.
Yep. So all three things were done and we were officially signed in, and that's how we left it yesterday. This isn't a great user experience though right now, this registering process. Why not? What is lacking right here? When I click register, what else should happen in a good user experience?
Confirmation that you've successfully registered.
Yeah, so just like Daniel had us go back to like the home, we shouldn't see this form anymore. So how do we, right here, we want to redirect the user to / if it's successful, our registration. Are we on register here? Whoops, no. Not here. In register, when we successfully register, yeah. We want to redirect the user to /. How can we do that? And all of you should know if you were just watching Daniel demo it. Ketzerin, how did Daniel do that?
I think use if condition.
Use what?
If successful early.
Oh, we're there right now. So we have this condition. So if we're on this lines of code, it means the request was successful, or we wouldn't be here.
I don't know. I cannot remember. Yeah.
Okay, Ryan, what do you think?
I'm not sure either. Sorry.
Okay. Well, Daniel, how did you do it? Because you just did it.
The useNavigate.
Yeah. So we're gonna import a React router hook called useNavigate, and then help me out using that, Daniel. How did you use that?
It was a const navigate equals useNavigate, import useNavigate at the top. I don't know if that's already done.
Yeah.
Okay, and then in the down there, you would put navigate with the route that you want to take inside parentheses. So in this case, I think it would be just a /.
Yeah. Why did it capitalize it? Oh, did I spell it wrong? Yeah. Yeah. And that's it. So how can we test this, right? Let's do Hara 1, 2, 3. And I was taken back to slash. We can still do better though, right? Because I'm seeing login and register. I'd love to see welcome Hara, just like Daniel did. Any brainstorm how we can do that from anyone but Daniel? How can we see welcome Hara after registering?
Set user.
Yeah. So in register, we are. Oh, are we not setting user yet? Where are we setting user? We are setting user in app.jsx when it fetches the user right here. So we don't need to set user because set user is already existing after this registration process. So right here, if I do Victor 1, 2, 3, we'll see that user is existing already right here. So we don't need to set user, but we do need to do something with user. And what's that?
Pass user in the nav bar.
There we go. Yeah. Pass user to navbar. Okay. And now I'm in navbar. How can I destructure user?
Up. Pops. Just pops.
I could, but I want to be fancier because we're week 7, right? Curly braces, yeah.
Yes, and user.
Yeah, exactly. And now to sanity check, console.log user. We're actually logged in. Do you remember? But I didn't click register. Do you remember the code that is taking local storage and then making the request to re-log us in, kind of? What code is that? So look, I can click refresh and I'm not logged in at first and then I'm logged in. Remember that yesterday? How is that firing?
Is it online 16 get item and the use effects online 36 takes token?
Yep.
And fires every time it's updated as well.
Yeah, so this is going to fire once when the application mounts, but then it's going to fire every time when, Ryan?
Every time token is changed?
Yes. So when it runs the first time, it's going to check local storage. If there's a token there, it sets it again and it asks the server who this token belongs to. And we're setting user. So this is really nice. You don't have to re-log into Twitter, Amazon. It'll save your token there for you. So now back to navbar, I want to see welcome Victor. How can I see welcome Victor if a user's logged in? I actually don't want to see that if a user is not logged in, right? Let's start here. Should we see login and register if a user is logged in? Should we see those two links? How can we not see those two links when we have a user?
With a conditional.
Yep. Any ideas how you would make that conditional?
So if a user exists, then show.
Yeah, exactly. But we can't say if in React.
So you for it to not show, then you put the bang operator, or you could just do like user. If user exists, then show everything else.
Unfortunately, user is an object and is an empty object, truthy or falsy.
Falsy.
Truthy, I think. So we should do like Just pick a property. And then we can do this syntax, which I like, the logical end operator. And then we can use our empty fragment. And now these two will disappear when there is a user. And let me copy this logic because this is nice. So now when there is a user, what are the things I want to show up? What did I say I want to show up?
Welcome user.
Yeah. And how can I access the user's name, Jazz?
User, did you put user.name or what? User.username.
Yep. Okay. Welcome, Victor. What else might we want to see if we know for sure a user's logged in our nav bar? There's another link we're going to want to see.
The logout?
Yeah, exactly. So here I'll do log out. And the two, I just maybe want to take them back to home, but you can, that's kind of flexible there. Now, when the user clicks log out, what are the things we want to happen, right? It's kind of the reverse of logging in. So what are some things we want to happen to make a user log out? Why is there an error here right now? Handle logout is not defined. Did I spell it wrong? No.
Did you save it after you did the logout?
Oh, sorry. Okay. What are the things? There's going to be 3 things I want to happen because there was 3 things to get me logged in. So there's 3 things to get me logged out. What are some of those things?
Show login, show register.
What?
Show login.
Show logged in?
Yeah, show the button login is
this will, if we do our job properly, this will all adjust automatically.
Oh, okay.
So what were the steps to log a user in? Here they are. So we have to do the reverse of all 3 of these. So give me one of them, Victor. What's our reverse for one of these?
Let's see.
So we said token is stored in state. How do we get token out of state or back to its default value?
Sorry, I'm drawing a blank.
Okay. Monica, how can we do any of these 3 in reverse?
Do you set token to an empty string?
Yeah, exactly. So set token to an empty string. The only problem is, do I have access to set token right now?
No.
So how can I get access?
You just add it to the nav bar?
Yeah. What else do you think we're going to need here?
Would it be token?
No. No. What's the other thing we have to reset?
Oh, no. Oh yeah, user info. Okay.
So to change user, what do we need?
Info.
Set user.
Oh.
Say.
Yep. So now in navbar, I want to destructure set token and set user. So set token to an empty string. I like that. What do I need to do next, Jazz?
Then you set user to empty array string or object.
Yep. And then finally, how do I do the second reverse? How do I reverse the second thing? Rodrigo, any ideas? How do I take the token out of local storage? So how do I remove this?
No, I'm blank.
Okay. Jiang?
You can put local storage dot remove item.
Yeah. And what's the argument?
And token.
Very nice. Okay, we do all those things, right? Log out. And what will show up if we're successful? How will the navbar change in response? What will show up and what will disappear, Ronald?
I'm thinking it's gonna go back if you log out.
Let's go one by one. Will this resume show up or not show up?
It should still be the same. The resume and projects, since we don't have
The
they're always
same.
just
What about this
render out that
welcome
way.
Victor?
That I don't think it's gonna show that anymore. It's gonna render out login and register, right?
Yeah.
Once you click log out.
Yeah. And there we go. And now the cool thing is register Ronald 1, 2, 3, and we see welcome Ronald. And then obviously the logic for login is going to be very, very similar. So I'll let you work on that because we don't need to. You're literally going to copy and paste and change a few things. It's going to be very similar. I think that's like the basics of the front end authentication that we need before maybe we turn to the back end. Are there any questions on this overall process?
I just have a question on the conditional rendering part
in
the
navbar.
Yeah, in navbar. Could you have consolidated into one line, like with a colon after the parenthesis, right there somewhere? Like, 'cause that's how
you could do that. You mean a ternary? You could do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, you could probably do this.
Okay. So, but that would be the same thing, kind of.
I think so. Yeah. Yep, we're still good. So if this reads nicer to you, that's fine. Maybe it is a little nicer. I don't know. Sometimes ternaries look weird to me, but I don't know. Any other questions? We're making good time. I didn't even know if we'd get to the back end today. So. All right, so we have the bare bones of our front end application, right? And now we've relied on my back end to do these requests. Where is it? This is a back end I created. But you guys are going to have to, in the project today, and the project for the next 3 weeks, you're going to have to create your own back end, right? So how can we get started creating a back end for resume meet? Let's say our objective right now is to just get a server going that says welcome to resume meet server when you send a get request to Slash. What are some of the steps we need to do that you all are going to do? Maybe not this week, but starting next week, probably.
Create a folder in the server.js.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to keep this one open, but create a new window. Why isn't this letting me do my thing? I guess we'll go over here for a second. So I'm going to make a directory called resume meet backend lecture. I'm going to cd into there. Now, brand new folder. What are some steps I need to do to get a basic Express server up and running?
You install Express.
Yeah, so I want to install Express to make servers easily, but Express is a node package, so I have to initialize what?
npm init-y.
Yeah, which will give us what file?
Package.json.
Very nice. Roman's on a roll. And then we're going to install Express. We're going to create a file called index.js. We're going to import Express the fancy way. We're going to initialize an Express application. And we're going to listen on 3000. And we're going to console.log that our server is up. And I said I want to respond to a GET request at / with success, true, message, welcome to the resume meet backend lecture server. How can I do our first route? David?
Yeah, so you type app.get with route with just the /.
Yeah. Second argument?
And then async request response.
Does this one have to be async? I don't think so. And what should I respond with?
You're going to send, just send success true.
Yeah. How can I test this, David? Is this working?
So you go to Thunder Client, and you're gonna make a new request.
Yeah, I'll just use the old one. What has to change?
Get.
Yep. And here?
And then localhost / localhost 3000 /.
Yeah. Connection was refused by the server.
Start the server.
With?
I forget. Oh yeah, node.mon.
Yep. Yeah, there we go. App crash. Import Express from Express. Cannot use import statements outside a module. Kimberly, I know you talked about this error. How do I fix this one?
You have to add it to the dependency or whatever. You have to add it
to the package.json. What was it called again?
Modules, engine. Was it engine?
Not engine.
Type.
What was it?
Type. Yeah, and then module.
Yep. Server is up. Send the request. Success. So we have a little baby server ready to go. Now I want to switch gears to thinking about our database. So what should some of the are we going to need a database first of all? Yes or no? Why might we need a database, Alex? Do we even need a database?
To hold the projects.
Hold projects. What else might we want to hold? There's one other thing I can think of.
Resume.
No, Not written. No one's uploading their resume here. No.
Or the user.
Users, yeah. So right now, there might be one other table I'm thinking about, but right now I'm definitely saying projects and users will be stored in our database. So, new objective. We want a database that can store projects and users. Switching gear to our third kind of piece of full stack applications, the database. How can we get a database going from scratch? Roman?
We can.
What's our gross sounding database?
Is it cockroach?
Yep. So let's start there and make a database. I don't remember what I did. So we make a database again by clicking connect, and we can click add new database. We can say resume meet lecture, or resume meet server lecture. Okay, that's cool. We have a database. Now I want to tell the database what tables to expect. I want to tell the database what tables to expect and even fill it with some dummy info. I'm going to call on Victor if he keeps on falling asleep. Victor, how do we do that? How do we tell the database what tables to expect? What tool do we use to communicate with the database?
It's not Prisma, is it?
Yeah, Prisma. So this is kind of tricky, but do you remember how to install Prisma? Get Prisma going?
npx Prisma install?
Yeah, close. npmi Prisma first.
Oh, yeah.
And then what do we do second, Daniel?
I can't remember the step.
Okay. Anyone remember how to initialize Prisma?
Is it npx Prisma init?
And then do you remember the file it will create for us, Ryan?
I don't, but it's the file you can put tables in, right?
Yeah, schema. Yeah. So, what has to change here, Ryan? There's only one thing we have to change.
Provider to CockroachDB.
Yeah, very nice. And you want to try to do we said we are thinking we need projects and users. Let's start with projects. What do you imagine a projects table will contain? What properties? Yeah. What properties for a projects table? Let's start there. What do we think? Before we even do it in the language of Prisma, what are some properties there? Hara?
Text.
Text? Yeah. Projects.
Title, maybe?
Like title. Yeah.
Title.
The name of the project.
Yeah. Hold on a second. Do we actually need projects? Because this isn't information that's really changing. We only have a set number of projects. The information that's really changing is like submissions. So it's really a better name for this would be like, I don't know what. Does anyone have a good name for, like, you're making submissions to describe projects? Descriptions, maybe?
Summary. I don't know.
Summary is not bad. So let's call this, instead of projects, like summaries. Summary? I don't know. Is that the best we can do? Summary? You guys know what I mean, right? It's not really projects. Like, we're not submitting new projects or editing projects. We're editing the descriptions of projects.
What about
you mean like
project
the
description?
Should we just call it
Caption.
project description? That's not bad. Project description. I think some.
Or project summary.
I guess summary is not horrible. Summary, and then we can have summaries. Yeah, summary is not bad. Let's stick with that. Okay, what does a table of summary have? What properties? What does every table have? Yeah. Renata, what does every table have?
Sorry, I don't remember.
What property does every object have, every table?
Oh, key value pair.
ID.
ID.
Or ID.
And can you think of another thing that summary will possibly have? So you guys are going to be submitting a summary. What is some of that stuff you're going to be submitting?
Text.
Text, yeah. Or should we call that description? I guess it doesn't matter.
Title?
Title. It won't really have a title, I don't think. It'll just be the description. But it will have the name of the project. So it'll have like project name. And I think that's it. Yeah. So how do we do this in the language of Prisma?
Model summary.
Yeah. Model summary. And Zach, do you remember how we do one of them?
Would you put the ID, for example?
And what data type is ID?
Int.
We can try, but we ran into problems last time.
Or
Let's give it
string
another
or
try.
begin. I get a bit
for
confused.
fun. Or maybe let's not try. Let's just stick with string. Why not? It worked for us. 2 more decorators for ID we want.
The default tag.
At default. So we're going to use that weird library UUID.
Yeah.
And then another thing to tell Prisma this is our ID, which is...
Is it just ID?
Yeah, at ID. Yep. Help me out with text. Ketzerin, how can I put in text here?
Text, string.
Any other decorators? Like, should text be unique?
No, I don't think so.
No? 2 students should be able to submit the same description, exact description for a project?
Okay, maybe add.
Yeah, maybe. And project name, yeah. I wonder if there's a better way. We might tweak this a bit. We're really figuring this out together, right? Which is realistic, but we might think about this a little bit more. Anyway, what data type is project name, Ryan?
It's a string.
Yeah. And will it be unique or not?
No, because we're doing the same project.
Definitely not. Yeah. There'll be many summaries with the same project name. This might be a good use case for enums, but I'll have to do that tomorrow because I haven't used one in a while. Okay, let's start. Well, should we do user as well? Because we said we want user too, right? We might as well. So let me copy summary because it might be a lot of the same stuff. What has to change for our user model? What information do we want to keep track of when you guys register? What has to change here? So do we want text and project name?
No.
Do we want ID?
Yes.
What else might we want for user?
Like username and password.
Exactly, yeah. Should a username be unique or not?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. Should a password be unique or not?
Yes.
No.
Who said yes? Was that Victor? Why can two people not have the same password? Like I don't know, Dune Buggy.
I mean, yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah, that is tricky though to think about. Okay, how do we? This looks great, but Cockroach is empty right now, or is it? How do I check the current status of my database? What tool can I use to visualize my database? Victor, do you remember?
I can't remember right now off the top of my head.
Is it Prisma Studio?
Yeah, Prisma Studio, but we're going to get an error, right? Because we have to do one more thing. Where? What do we have to do? Oh, we didn't get an error. That's bizarre. Is it make? I think it's running like a local one. Oh yeah. Oh, that's crazy. So I have no idea how this is working, but it's not what we're gonna use, so it doesn't really matter. What do we have to do for real to get this working?
Just copy.
Did you migrate it yet?
We will have to do that, but first we have to connect the local code to know where Cockroach is. And we do that by copying this. Yeah, reveal. I don't care. So change this to JavaScript, copy this, paste this, and paste this password here. Now when we try to run Prisma Studio, I actually don't know what's going to happen. I think we have to migrate first. Oh, okay. I would still migrate. Every time we make changes to schema, we have to migrate. So to migrate, we're going to do npx prisma migrate dev. Initial. All right. Now we'll run Prisma Studio again. And let's create some dummy data for summary and user, right? Because it's always like helpful. So summary, text, I don't know. Milkman was a game I built. Milkman. Yeah. And here we'll have user of Daniel, password, pass1. Okay. So now we have some dummy data. Now, thinking back to our server, what are some requests we are going to want to do? And this is actually, in your real project, this might be a time, well, you already have the docs for you in the Reddit project, so I guess you won't do docs. But in Capstone, this is when you would certainly start probably thinking about docs and writing docs. So let's do that here as well. So we're going to create a new file called readme.md. And here we can start doing some requests. So a get to slash. How do we do a get to slash? We do API without anything actually, but we can put in the slash there. And we need our backticks. And our response was what was our response? Success, true, message, welcome to the resume meet server lecture. Yeah. So you don't have to do this, but this is Markdown. I like using it to build docs. So if you guys want to start doing that, but that's something you'll have to kind of do as a bonus on your own. But it is nice. So anyway, this is just to organize our thoughts a little bit, start working on our docs, start thinking about what requests we're going to make. And we already saw this request, right? So if we run nodemon with our server, we already have this request working. Yeah. So what other requests are we possibly going to want for this server to be able to do so that our front end can properly do its thing? What other requests are we going to have to build?
Get all the messages. I'm sorry, get all the users.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one. Well, get all the users? Why would we do...
Or get a user by ID, maybe.
What? So we want to right now. We want to look at all the summaries. Yeah. So we want to see all the summaries. So that might be our first major request. So a get request. What path should that be to see all the summaries?
API summary?
Yeah, just summaries, I think works. And then here will be this fetch request will be /summaries. And then here we'll have to build this, but we'll have summaries. And that what data type will that be, do we think?
Array of objects?
Yeah, exactly. But we'll have to come back to that when we build out the code. Should we do one? Maybe we'll do this request and then call it there. So let's work on that first one, right? How can I do a get request to /summaries that returns all my summaries? Right now I just have the one, but that's fine. Oh, project name. I think we put that in. I don't know. So how can I get started on this?
So, but Maxwell, Prisma Studio is kind of weird.
It has to be running.
Well, when you enter, well, at least this happened to me when I entered in the record on Prisma Studio. I had to click enter and then record. Otherwise, it won't record the last item in there.
Yeah, it is a little finicky.
Yeah, I was running into that issue, and we had to kind of we had to do that every time.
Yeah, so here we'll just put Milkman, and we have to click away and then save. That's fine. Okay. So how does this path have to change? What do we have to do to return all the summaries? So basically the request I'm making is localhost 3000/summaries. Right now this shows nothing. It just hangs. Let's actually fix that. If it doesn't find a route, what do we want to do here? If it doesn't find a route, what do we want to do?
You want to put an error exception?
Yeah. How do I do that?
Is it app dot something? Oh, app dot send maybe?
Yeah.
Use, yeah.
And here the callback will be rec res. And the response can be like success, false, error, no route found. Okay. I send this request again, except my server broke. So I have to rerun it. Okay. No route found. Nice. So back to the getting all the summaries. How do we actually, what has to change on this line? Ryan?
We have to change the path to summaries.
Yeah. And then how do we actually get the summaries?
Let me look at my notes.
Would have to do, I think, find menu, but we need Prisma first for that.
Yeah, we need Prisma. We need Prisma client. So we got to do Prisma client, import that, and use that to create a new instance of Prisma client. And I think that's maybe it. And now we can access Prisma. Oh, not there. Here. So now how can we use Prisma to find all the summaries?
Const summary equals await Prisma dot summary. Then find many. But then you have to do the async at the top.
Yep. What changes here, Hara?
I guess you can put would it be include? Actually, no, I don't know. I know you have to display the summaries, right? So would it just be the summary?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
So testing this route, let's see what happens. There we go. We got the summaries. So we did our first real route for this new project. So we started our back end. And I guess that's a good place to pause. Or else maybe I should, so I encourage you to create a separate front end and a separate back end on GitHub. They should just be totally separate, in my opinion. So to create the new GitHub, we can just do a new repository and call this resume meet backend lecture. Should it be public? Yes. And then here I'll copy the link. I'll do get remote, add origin. I don't even actually know if we have a Git project yet. No. So we have to do get init, get remote, add origin, git add everything. Is our git ignore good? Yeah. Git commit, git push, origin master. And then I think that's a good stopping place for today. So no backend authentication at all, but we'll get into that right away tomorrow and then all next week. So the pre-work, if you didn't get a chance, it's going to be very important. yesterday's pre-work or today's pre-work, I guess. So still watch all of those. They're really good. Yeah. Any questions though there on anything?
Yeah, I've got a question about the database. You didn't make a new cluster for this project, right?
No.
Because that costs money. So is there a way to make a new, I don't know, a new database within the cluster?
Yeah, so you click on your cluster. Mine is called lecture. You click on connect and then databases. And then there's the option is buried here. It's kind of weird. So it's buried in connect to make a new database. Unfortunately, I haven't seen a way to delete a database. So if anyone knows, I literally like Googled it and I could not find it. So if anyone knows how to delete a database in Cockroach, let me know. Other questions?
Max, like I noticed that we're like creating like a separate backend and front end.
Yes.
Do you have any like articles, or can you go over like the concept of like, is it like monorepo or something? Because I came across that, I wasn't really understood that. And so if you can kind of clarify that.
Yeah, so the other strategy is that your server serves up your React application. So there would be no need for Netlify. The problem is, in my experience, it just gets way harder. You have to do proxies and stuff in your development environment. It's a mess, in my opinion. And in my real experience, it was separate. So that's how I'm showing you guys, because I believe it's simpler. But there are other options for this. Namely that you have one server, and that server will serve your React project. But we're not doing it that way. So I don't want to get into the real weeds of that because it's totally different.
Okay.
You know, on my LinkedIn the other day when we did the review, the CEO of Cockroach thanked me for giving a shout out to Cockroach.
Wow.
Yeah, on
that's
my LinkedIn.
Insane. That's crazy. Awesome.
Max, so what exactly is due today, and is there a project that's due Monday?
Oh, that's a very good question. Maybe I should talk about the 3-week project we have going on, right? So you are going to make a Reddit clone. Oh, sorry. So Reddit project we have till October 2nd is due. Here's a link to Reddit. So remind yourself what Reddit is. The real source of truth for this entire project, though, is going to be these docs. So we're entering the final real phase of this bootcamp. So all you have are these docs. You can decide if you want to work on the front end first, the back end. I recommend probably working on the front end first. But totally up to you. However, just like, was it Spammer or all of them, you need to respond in the way the docs specify. So you're the backend engineer and you were given these docs by your team lead, and you have to respond exactly as they want you to respond. The front end, though, is completely your own world to do, but it obviously has to do the functionality of Reddit. It doesn't have to look like Reddit because that could be months, to get that styling right, but that is the bonus, to get it to look like a Reddit clone. There's a lot here. It is a 3-week project. I'll type out a recommendation of what I think your flow should be. Namely, I think you should use Vite to create a React front end project, and called Reddit front end, and then get some basic routing. So you're going to have like home, subreddit, posts, login, register, log out. But I'll type that out for you in Discord. Yeah. Any questions on this? Okay.
Max, I've got a question in general. When it comes to the front end and the routing in main, why do we use app in general? Can't we just define all our functions within main and then have our components all connected there? Or like, why do we have to go through app exactly?
Isn't navbar where we have app? Because there's one component we want always to show up, I think is the answer to that.
And so if we want any component to always show up, we have to put it in app, or can we
No,
use
because app is also always showing up. But what if there's a situation where you want other components besides app, or besides app and navbar to always show up? Then it is nice you have a place to do that. So that's why.
Okay.
But I haven't thought about that deeply, but that's the first thing that comes to mind. Okay, I need to write up your little strategy for approaching this project, but yeah, you have the docs. The docs is you have to stick to the docs, but you can, if there's a route you want to add, feel free to add a route to your back end. Front end, don't sweat the styling too much at all. I don't think at all right now. Yeah, any final questions on that?